magnet that holds the thing under the car, meaning that if you want to retrieve the memory, then you trigger the release mechanism and the thing falls down to the street and you can collect it. Okay. This is a tracker that has been found under car. It is one of the models that at least the images on the internet where I found this stuff these are images from a lawyer, and he says that these are models that are used by German police. As you can see here, the basic elements. We have here the GPS antenna. This is the GSM antenna. These are the batteries, and this is the electronics compartment. And the usual enclosure that also can hold magnets to hold the thing together. So this is more images of that. These are other images that I found on the internet of trackers that are apparently have been used by German authorities. Basically here, same thing. This looks like the GSM antenna that we had in the image before. This is probably the electronics package, and here we see the GPS antenna, and then the large rest is probably then the battery pack. And this is another thing here. You see a pack of cigarettes as a comparison. So it's a relatively small setup. These are trackers here that are commercially available in spy shops. What you can see here very nicely are the magnets that are used to attach the whole thing, and it has a combination antenna here for GSM and GPS in the same antenna package. This is actually a receiver that has been found under a car of an activist, and then has been auctioned off in a public auction to the highest bidder, which happened to be another left activist. And yeah, we can here see again the whole package. It has been apparently wrapped in gaffer tape before it has been stuck under the car of the suspect. The monitoring, that's also an interesting question, is how does the monitoring work? Most commercial systems today are simply using Google Earth or Google Maps to do the monitoring. There are others that use dedicated software, but also these are mostly plugins to commercial mapping software like Map and Route and other stuff. Frequently the location updates are sent to mobile phones or PDAs so that you can see on the move what is happening. And what's also very interesting is that long-term tracking is frequently used so that you can build up a behavioral profile of your suspect. This is a typical output of such a logging software. You basically see the endpoint of movements of the suspect. You have here the list of time and date, address, which is frequently very useful, the speed that has been used by the suspect so that you could see how fast he was driving, current event log, what course he was driving, and so on. So you can do the usual map things that this is one of the dedicated software devices. This is tracks, GPS tracks on Google Maps and Google Earth. As you see here, this is a very detailed track where a lot of positions have been recorded. So you see really every movement that this GPS has done through a park and so on. Whereas that one here is an track log that has fewer intermediate points where you can just see the general movement of the GPS. Okay, there are more things like this is a log where you can easily see where the car has been accelerating and braking and so on. And this is also, for instance, used in rental cars. There are a lot of rental cars, especially in the US, that contain GPS trackers, and there is circumstantial evidence that they're used for suing you when you're driving too fast. This is another one of the from the propaganda of a manufacturer of GPS. How's it called? When they put it on your feet. So basically, this is your sex offender. Here in red are schools, and he needs to be away from schools. So this is then what his probation officer can see on this unit. Okay, what is happening next is there is a large wave of cheap GPS units coming from China. So, and they're mostly targeted on the civilian market. So there are trackers in teddy bears for tracking the kids. There are grandma trackers, cat and dog trackers, trackers to be attached to a UPS parcel, trackers to be attached to your car, and so on. And they're becoming very common. So this is a random selection of GPS GSM tracking units that are currently on the market. So that one is from Sony. That is can be attached via Bluetooth to your digital camera, so that you can geocode all your pictures. So this thing is nicely named Freedom for Pet, which is should be attached to your dog or so. This is one of the units that they sell you in the spy shop for horrendous amounts of money. That one there is for your grandma, the walkabout, which gives your grandparents the freedom of movement and the peace that you still know where they are. This is for your kids, and that's called iKids. It's also sold by Chibo now, and that thing here is called, I think, NanoCare, which is a unit that is also aimed at the same market, baby grandmas, and so on. And of course, there are nicely colorful wristwatches for your kids that do the same. So meaning the technology is small enough that it can be fitted into a wristwatch. Yeah. Yes. That's these units, except for the Sony one, are all GSM GPS. So the Sony one is only Bluetooth because it only needs to talk to a camera. Yeah, this is if you're active and sporty, then you can log your daily jogging or bike course within a GPS unit and then upload to your Web2O jogger community so that everybody knows where you're jogging. Of course, it also records how fast you are and what the geo profile of the areas where you were jogging and so on. And this is the Schnuffi tracker, where you can attach to your dog and see where he roams. Yeah, this is what they use to track criminal offenders, or maybe all of us someday. That is basically the same thing as the colorful wristwatch for kids, packaged for tracking people who are on probation. Other stuff that I happen to see where there seems to be around software for navigation systems, for in-car navigation systems, that basically can be used to record all your movements on your own car navigation system that are then later extracted by Bluetooth. So if you look at, for instance, the TomTom, that is a very simple Linux-based navigation system that can be easily modified. And so it's rather trivial to add a small daemon that just logs everything and then dumps it off to a certain Bluetooth unit. So this software is of course sold in spy shops for hundreds of dollars. But this is something that you need to be aware. So if you're going to buy a tracking, no, not a tracking, navigation unit, it's still called, then be aware that it should have no Bluetooth, and that you know all the time where it is, so that nobody can retrieve your movements. Mobile phones with AGPS, that was a question earlier, are coming, meaning that the position accuracy of the GPS is assisted by the network. For instance, the network is sending off the approximate position that is generated from locating the mobile phone in the network to the mobile phone, so that the mobile phone can initialize the GPS unit faster. So it gives faster tracking and better accuracy. Yeah, we can also buy, meanwhile, I think 3 different brands of GPS wristwatches. That is, no, that's not the GPS one. I also have a GPS one. So the technology has become very small, very power saving. Okay, the commercial applications are basically what you would expect: rental cars, taxis, ambulance, police, and so on. One thing that is interesting is the so-called roadside assistance system, which is there to basically, if you drive into a tree on the side of the street, your car will tell the emergency center where your car is stuck. Okay, so now enough with the boring stuff. The interesting question is, where are they hidden and how do we find them? Typically there are 3 different methods of attachment of a tracker to specifically a car. What is used if it needs to be quick and there's no long-term access to the car, then it is just the walk-by where with magnets the tracker unit is attached somewhere to a metal surface on the car. It's usually wheelhouse or bumper, but we come to that later. Another method is that is very frequently used, especially with smaller modern cars that have plastic bumpers, is that the unit is glued with epoxy and a sheet of carbon reinforced plastics into the room behind the plastic bumper, so that if you're taking off the bumper, you see just something that looks like black carbon. So it could be that it's normal on the car if you don't know what it is, and it's very flat. And another method that I know that is being used is that cars are made to have small accidents, like somebody is softly ramming his car while you're parked into your car and saying, "Oh, sorry," and of course my insurance will do everything to make you happy. And then when you drive your car then to a repair shop, some friendly people come by and ask the repairman to stay outside for an hour or two and install the unit inside the car in the repair shop. This is the most preferred method because then the tracking unit can be really well hidden inside the car, so that you have basically no chance of finding it except if you really disassemble the car. In order to basically reverse engineer the processes where they put stuff into the car, we need to understand the reasons for choosing certain positions, because some of them are not obvious. The main thing is that the GPS antenna needs to see the sky at least a bit. It can be behind all kinds of plastic, but being completely behind metal surfaces prevents reception. So if it is on the edge of the wheelhouse, for instance, so that it sees the sky a very little bit, then that's enough. So if it's really deep inside the wheelhouse, then the chance of seeing sky is not very great, except if your car is made of plastic. So stuff like that. The receivers are getting very good. So there are, for instance, receivers that can be safely hidden under the passenger seat. So and all the stuff that's around it is not a problem because it sees a bit of sky through the windows. If you want to install this thing as long-term tracking, then access to the car power is very, very interesting. Then if it has access to the car power, this thing can work for years. The longest claimed working life for battery-based stuff that I have seen is 6 months, which is with large lithium-ion one-way batteries that are extremely expensive. And if you can tap the car power, then you can live longer with the unit. What's very important, it must not fall off, at least not accidentally, or be otherwise easily detected. So if you put it in a place where it is, when the owner of the car drives a bit rough, it falls off, then it might get a bit problematic. Another thing that frequently led to discovery of GSM GPS trackers was when interference on the car radio of the GSM, this patap 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 patap, was to be heard when the unit reported back home, and the owner of the car was very sure that he has no mobile phone switched on. That usually then yields to the car owner completely disassembling his car to find what is making patap 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 on his car radio. Okay, so these are typical placements that have been observed. So the favorite is bumpers are made generally on modern cars of plastic, meaning that everything that sits here or there